Hello everyone, it's Johnny 𝐶𝐢𝐬𝐬, and in this video it's my first listen to the first new album from Jethro Tull in 2 decades. It's called the Zealot Gene. Jethro Tull are of course a classic English folk and progressive rock band, most well known for their incredible 70s albums such as 𝐒𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐿 and Thick as a Brick. Ian Anderson's quirky songwriting, his unique personality and his incredible flute playing are pretty much timeless. I'm not crazy about all their albums myself, but I think Thick as a Brick in particular is a masterpiece. Not too long ago I made a video about their 1977 album Songs from the Wood, and you can see that video with the link up here. That's the furthest I've gone in Tull's discography so far, but I did listen to Ian Anderson's Thick as a Brick 2, which came out in 2012, and it was surprisingly good. I never got around to hearing his next album 𝐻𝐼𝐬𝐻𝐼𝐬𝐻, and that came out back in 2014, so this new album is his first major work in 8 years. The rest of this video will be highlights from my live stream over on Twitch, where I listened to this new album for the first time in full. And you can follow me over there if you'd like to join me for some listening parties. So do me a favor and click the like button on this video, and let's get into the album. Getting into it with track 1. It's called Mrs. Tibbets. Not sure about those synthesizer sounds. Very 80s. Still got it on the flute. Well, Ian Anderson is sounding good. I like how his voice still has his curmudgeon kind of personality. His flute playing also sounding really good, really energetic. I thought the tune of the song was okay. It was well written, and I felt that the structure of the song was pretty interesting, and there were some really cool chord changes here and there as well. However, I have a couple of pretty major issues. Firstly, the production does sound a little thin, doesn't sound very impactful. Secondly, some of the sounds are very sort of stereotypical 80s. And even the playing on the guitar, it sounds very generic, very dated sounds, unfortunately. So I'm a little disappointed with some of the sounds, but the songwriting is sounding alright, so it gives me some hope for some more interesting ideas to pop up throughout the album. Let's get into track 2. It's called Jacob's Tales.
Loved you more than me. Same old chances, toss of dice. Who cares if I am comfortable in...
Nice. There were some really nice chords in that one, especially the intro and outro that he had there on the acoustic guitar. Yeah, that was just like a classic little Jethro Tull acoustic number. Sounded pretty good, with some Bob Dylan harmonica on top of it as well. The lyrics are sounding really nice, really sharp. Very Ian Anderson. Let's go straight into track 3. It's called Mine is the Mountain.
Fear all I have said.
It's a really nice piano line.
Image is silver.
It's cool as hell. Wow, that felt like a really big step up in quality, didn't it? We had that melancholy, really cool piano line, the melodies to match, a really interesting and memorable hook, and even the instrumental parts were really cool, with Ian unleashing some fantastic flute lines. Just a great atmosphere, great melodies. I was really into it. So track 4 is the title track, the Zealot Gene.
The stereotype, the polarizing picture play, and a wasp right up the bum of 𝐒𝐻.
Nice ending. Unfortunately, that song did see a return of some of the issues I felt with the first track on the album. Some very generic sounds, including the very 80s sounding lead guitar parts, the very unpleasant synth textures. There were some redeeming features. I liked Ian's vocal performance, and some of the lyrics were sounding quite witty. Some funny parts, but yeah, just overall, not the strongest songwriting, and worst of all, some rather unlikable sound decisions. Track 5 was the first single. It's called Shoshana Sleeping. Love this riff. Loved it when we watched the music video.
Freely taken, hardly won. Best not taken, unsullied.
Very nice. Great choice for a first single because it's very memorable, very catchy, and just sort of bursting with this cheeky energy. The rather dodgy synthesizer sounds do pop up in that song, but they are at least not very prominent. Most of all, it's that the focus of that song is on the rhythmic element, Ian's voice and lyrics, and of course the fantastic flute parts. So the song ends up feeling really strong for that. On to track 6. This is called Sad City Sisters.
What desperation, what souls possessed.
A bit of accordion.
To stumble in and toss their knickers in the bin. Repentance.
Yeah, well, no complaints there in terms of the sound. A really well executed traditional folk kind of sound with Ian's flute being the X factor on top of it all. And I was especially enjoying some of the cheeky lyrics in that one. Track 7 is called Barren Beth, Wild Desert John.
Oh, the joy to feel the cousin Mary gets all muffled. That's all.
Nice vocals, very nice. All right, a lot of personality in that song. I really enjoyed it for that. Ian's kind of cool and response vocals were cracking me up. But it sounds really good. Some really nice lyrics. Big issue was, again, the guitar. The riffing was okay, if a little generic again. The guitar solo was pretty nasty, you know, had a generic 80s sound that is really hard to swallow, especially in this context. Doesn't work for me at all. But if I just forget about the guitar solo, I overall really like that song. I thought it had a lot of character. All right, track 8 is called The Betrayal of Joshua Kind.
Of Joshua Kind.
Nice, I said the name correctly. It's a nice flute riff. Yeah, that was a pretty cool song. I was especially happy to hear the piano replacing the cheesy synthesizer sounds. I thought it worked really well. They should have put more piano on this album. Some more really nice lyrics. The guitar solo was okay. I still don't like the sound, but it was a little more restrained than some of the other ones, so I liked it for that. Yeah, not a bad track. So on to number 9. This is Where Did Saturday Go?
Savagely, wickedly.
Great vocals.
Arrive.
This is really nice, this song.
Empty bed.
Beautiful guitar part.
Places.
Nice. I actually really liked that song. Big highlight for me. I thought it had great atmosphere, really nice melodies, but especially the guitar parts, gorgeous. The flute solos, wonderful. Yeah, I really liked that one. Track 10 is called Three Loves, 3.
It's not for me that I ask sweet.
It's beautiful, this. Beautiful.
Of brothers,
Love that.
lovers, son. 3 loves, 3.
A really beautiful song. More strong work on the folk side of things. I didn't find it quite as compelling as Where Did Saturday Go, just from a lyrical theme and sort of quirkiness angle. I felt that that song just pulled me in a bit more, but 3 Loves 3, really beautiful. Loved the double guitar. It sounded like an acoustic guitar and some other instrument on the other side. Lovely flute lines, just overall really pretty. Track 11, In Brief Visitation.
Right on my heart, in brave dead.
Wow, another really great classic folk track on this album. This has been a great run, you know, from track 9 to 11, all these really strong folk songs sounding great. There was especially some really nice guitar parts in that song and augmented with some really well played flute from Ian. Really nice. We're on the last song, guys. Track 12. It's called The Fisherman of Ephesus.
10 set out along the rocky road to son of her that's ever
Is that an electric piano? Yeah, nice. Tasteful. Nice bit of clean guitar.
The test of poison.
Not a bad ending song to the album. I especially enjoyed the first part with the electric piano sounds. Something a little bit different. Didn't really feel it had a particularly strong melody or any particularly exciting parts, but you know, it rounded out the album quite well. This is a good Jethro Tull album for 2022. After hearing Shoshana Sleeping, I had pretty high hopes, you know, because it sounded like it had some energy, it had a bit of cheekiness, some decent writing, and I'm glad to say that those are all elements that showed up throughout the album on multiple tracks, which was great. But it actually went a bit beyond that for me by the inclusion of some particularly strong folk tracks, especially towards the end there. On plenty of Jethro Tull albums I've listened to in the past, there can be multiple folk tracks that just kind of pass me by, don't do too much for me. But I think that on the whole here, I was pretty into a lot of the compositions. So I'm actually coming away from this feeling this is almost at the level of some Jethro Tull albums I've heard from the 70s. That's how I'm feeling. Shame about some of the production choices here. I have to say Martin Barre's presence on the guitar was definitely missed. I'm not sure who is playing guitar on here, but I'm sorry, it sounded very generic to me a lot of the time. Especially the lead guitar parts and when things were heavily distorted, wasn't really working for me. And some very questionable keyboard sounds as well popping up throughout the album, especially on the heavier tracks. But you know, I think on the whole, the sound was serviceable. I'm just really impressed with Ian Anderson's performances and songwriting on this album. Some very cheeky lyrics and vocal performances, and some really excellent flute parts, you know, up to the standard of old for me, pretty much. Worlds apart from what Yes were doing last year. So yeah, I feel that this is a good Jethro Tull album. We really couldn't hope for more in 2022. So leave a comment down below to let me know what you thought of this album, and if you missed the stream and want to see my full unedited reaction, you should check out my Patreon. Whichever tier you support me at, you get full access to the archive of unedited reactions, and you'll be helping me to continue making these videos, keep my channels going, so I'll really appreciate it. And thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take it easy.